Welcome to the Faculty Research Group Summary Leader Training. My name is Wendy Schweitzer, and I will be discussing the Summary Leader role. A few months ago, my boss asked me to review a paper. The research team was struggling in the Summary Leader role, and I decided to review the paper and make changes with the understanding that I could use this as a teachable moment for future FRG Summary Leaders. Let's go over the objectives. You will learn what the Summary Leader really does, the 5 main rules a summary leader should accomplish when reviewing a paper, and what type of content should be added to the paper. So what does the summary leader really do? The summary leader ensures that the article is written in one voice. Many times when you have several researchers writing portions of an article, it sounds like a different person wrote every section. This detracts from the reading. Making sure the paper is written as if one person wrote it might be tricky. There are 5 main rules that I use when reviewing a paper. The first rule is to determine that the abstract does indeed promote the article. The abstract is your marketing tool and needs to entice the reader to read the article. Let's take a look at the actual abstract that was original abstract, the marketing piece. I'm just going to read the first sentence, and then I'll give you a few minutes to read the rest of the abstract. In response to criticism that they do not train students to be effective decision makers, many business schools have attempted to modify their graduate management programs. And the abstract goes on to talk about research suggests that a primary ingredient missing from these attempts is the teaching of systemic thinking. So this is the abstract that was given to me in the actual paper that I was going to review. And I changed it quite significantly. I wrote, in response to criticism that academia does not train students to be effective decision makers, many business schools have attempted to modify their graduate management programs. And then the whole last part I kind of rewrote and put it in my own words. Let's see here. What was interesting about this paper in general was that I did not really know too much about systemic thinking. I had to read most of the articles on the reference page, and I found several more articles to help me understand the concept. This was an extra step for me because I was not part of the initial research team. Below is my edited abstract. Here it is. And let's see here. I added a reference. What Kuhn wrote, linear thinking in some cases hides the actual performance problem because it oversimplifies reality. I added, instead of viewing challenges via cause and effect, academia should review all possible variables. And then what I did was I defined systemic thinking in my own words, because I think it's important to let the reader know what is systemic thinking. And this is systemic thinking according to what I thought it was. Systemic thinking can be used to avoid looking at obvious causes and looks for properties of the whole that emerge from the combination of parts, but which can be unexpected from examining each of the parts in turn. This point of view article reviews the difficulty of conceptualizing and implementing systemic thinking in academia. So this is what I changed, what I wrote, and then this is what was given to me. So don't be surprised if you have to do a lot of changing in the actual paper. Once again, your goal is to make certain that it sounds like one individual wrote the paper. Let's go to the next rule. All right, the second rule, clear and concise. All right, let's take a look at the introduction paragraph. This is the page 1, and this was the first sentence of the introduction. Let me read it to you. New technologies making it easier for companies, regardless of location, to compete globally, and the development of business ventures in non-industrialized nations has significantly increased, adding to the competition in many industries. Okay, so notice that the first sentence of the introduction is long, very long. Breaking up this sentence into 2 sentences makes the passage much clearer. So let me read to you what I wrote and see if you can hear a difference. New technologies making it easier for companies, regardless of location, to compete globally. The development of business ventures in non-industrialized nations has significantly increased, adding to the competition in many industries. Do you see a difference? Do you hear a difference? The goal is to make it simple so that it's easy for the reader to read the article. All right, and the third rule is do not be afraid to delete paragraphs and pages. For example, after reading the second paragraph, I realized that most of the paragraph was unnecessary to the paper. The introduction should start strong and end strong. Also, the introduction should be tied to the abstract. So, I wanted to end with, therefore, the interaction between and among the parts is crucial to understanding system behavior. And I deleted all this from the actual article. And I personally think it's a much better way to end the paragraph. So this is what it was, and this is what it looked like after I was done with it. Let's go to the fourth rule, and that is to eliminate redundancy. So let's not be redundant here. Okay, when you have several researchers writing an article, many times what they write will be very similar. Sometimes when I'm reading an article from a research team, I feel like I'm reading the exact same paragraph every other page. For example, in this paper, value stream mapping, which is right here, was written in detail in another section. I decided to eliminate the value stream mapping in this section and keep it in the other section. Now, if you notice in my changes, I also made an edit right here. I added a hyphen to in-depth. Technically, the summary leader does not edit the paper. However, if you see something that can easily be fixed, then it is totally fine to fix the error. But the editing is one of the last things that the team should do. So the summary leader, once again, is just focusing on making certain that one person, it sounds like one person wrote the article. The writing style is the same throughout the paper. Now, another item to look for concerning redundancy is what I call repeat words. Authors have favorite words that they like to use. The challenge comes in when they use the same word in almost every single paragraph. In this article, the word extent was used several times. This tells me that one of the authors really liked that word. It changed one of the words from extent to existing, just to make it more of a variety and a balance of words in the paper. So when I talk about redundancy, you should be looking for repeat ideas and repeat words. All right, let's look at the fifth rule, consistency. When I was reading the systemic thinking paper, I noticed that a new word was introduced in the conclusion. In no other place in the paper was Western used. The researchers used higher business education or students. For this reason, I deleted Western in the conclusion section. I also like to add further thoughts of reflection in the conclusion, and I added a statement. Let's see what I added. So this is what it looked like. So I got rid of Western. This is what was the original conclusion. And then this is what I did. And this is what I added. An alternative hypothesis might be that most people simply cannot perform any systemic thinking. Most who can do it so naturally, without any kind of articulated approach, and are unable to articulate what they do in a way that can be taught and reproduced. And I thought that also added more meat, more oomph, I guess, to the conclusion. Now, the systemic thinking paper was unusually long, and I had to make changes to almost every single page. Once again, the goal was to make certain that the paper sounded like one person wrote it and not a committee wrote the paper. The summary leader needs to make certain that the abstract is effectively used as a marketing tool. And then go to my review page. I'm getting to my review. Additionally, the summary leader should not be afraid to delete sections of the paper, eliminate redundancy, write clearly, and add consistency. One final thought is when the summary leader is adding content to the article. The added content must enhance or improve the article in some manner. The summary leader does not add filler content, but more meat or eye-opening information. The goal of the summary leader is to develop a comprehensive paper that the reader will be able to easily understand. After the summary leader reviews the paper, then the next step is to edit the paper. If you have any questions on the summary leader requirements, please ask your research project manager or the training manager. For those of you who would like to see the finished paper, you should visit the Blue Water Institute website to see which changes the research team decided to accept from me, Wendy Schweitzer, the summary leader. For those of you who also have questions, you can also contact me directly, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Have a great day.